Welcome back to the Lemon Factor. I'm Chad, and in today's video, I am going to prepare and paint a new front bumper that I purchased for our 2003 Lexus IS300 Sport Cross. So I purchased this with the idea that I'm going to fit a sizable intercooler in the front, and I wanted a pretty big opening, bigger than the OEM, so that it can receive enough air flow coming into the intercooler. Another benefit with this front bumper is that apparently it does not require any alteration. The first thing I'm going to do is sand everything down. I'll start with a 320, 400 grit sandpaper just to reduce some of the dust. I am going to sand it wet, and after I sand everything down, I'll increase the grit, so increase how fine the sandpaper is. I'll go from that 320, 400, 600 and bump that up. And then we'll take a look and see where our imperfections are. There's definitely going to be some imperfections, and we'll have to focus in on those areas. A lot of the bumper looks really clean, so I'm pretty impressed by this. There are definitely some areas that have some deep gouges in it that I'm going to have to aggressively sand down to smoothen it out. I've noted with the green tape there are 45 spots where I need to focus on. A lot of these is just additional sanding, but there are a handful that will add a little bit of Bondo, so a little bit of filler to fill in some of the deeper scratches. I'm making the best use as I can of the space that I have, just taping everything up so I don't get that overspray anywhere. I will not have a totally enclosed area. I need some ventilation. So the good thing is I'll get the ventilation. The bad thing is I also may introduce some dust and probably more realistically some pollen into the booth, but we'll take care of that as it comes up. This is a rather cheap gun, although it has really good reviews. I also have a couple accessories, components that I bought in addition to the air gun. One is an air water separator. So this filter I'm adding here helps filter out the air that's going to the air gun to keep it extra clean. I'm also adding an air pressure regulator so I can immediately see what my air pressure is at instead of having to go back to the air compressor itself. And I should be able to finally adjust that air pressure to exactly what I need. I'm getting all my automotive paint from automotivetouchup.com. Great website. They have lots of good information, whether it's videos or articles regarding doing either touch-up paint or full painting. Their products are great. I've used them in the past. Very fair price. If you're looking at just getting a touch-up pen or doing something like we're doing here, full body panel painting, or for that matter, painting an entire car, check them out. I'll leave the link in the description below. I find it a little challenging applying it into all of the recesses without overspraying. So, the flat area is easy, or at least easier, but all those grooves within, for instance, the center part where the intercooler is going to go, the center opening that is, and the side openings where the fog lights go, it's a little difficult to get that primer in there without applying too much. After adding our final coat of primer, I do plan on sanding all of it down with a 600 grit sandpaper. We're now ready to move on to the base coat. What I was concerned about happened. I definitely over applied some of the base coat in some areas. The areas where there's some overlap between the contours and the openings within the fender itself, I'm gonna have to go back and sand this down. There were about 4 or 5 main areas that I had to sand down because of the overspray, and only now seeing this video here, but I have that high point right in the middle of the damn bumper. Even with all the planning you try to do, there's always something that's going to happen. I was careless. I bumped into the bumper as I was painting it. It was still wet, and when I reactively grabbed at it so it wouldn't fall, yep, I left fingerprints on the bumper, on the wet paint, and now I have to spend a bunch of time, wait until this thoroughly dries, going back, sanding down those fingerprints and any of the marks that I've made, and having to repaint these areas. Because this is the first time I'm ever using an air gun, I need to get the settings right. So that includes the spray pattern. So that knob at the top of the spray gun, adjust that. The knob right below that is how much paint is flowing through the air gun, and the combination of that and how much air pressure you're using will determine how much paint you're laying down. So I keep making sure, so I keep adjusting that to get that right. So I don't want to over apply the paint and have it run, but I also want to make sure that I have a nice even coat. Don't want this stuff to run, especially on the first coat. I want to apply an even first coat, but not too aggressive, not too wet. I think the first coat went on pretty well. Again, I wasn't overly aggressive with how wet I applied it. subsequent coats, so I do plan on doing 3 coats here. 2 and 3 I will apply a little wetter. Second coat went on really well, happy with it. Let's wait a little while. I'm waiting about 15 minutes in between each coat. The paint looks good. The paint looks really good. I do have a concern that it's not going to totally match the rest of the car. Remember, this is a 21-year-old car. It's been in California, it's been in Nevada, a lot of sun. I'm sure that paint has faded. The clear coat, it's a fine balance between applying enough to get it to have a nice smooth glaze or applying it too much where you have orange peel or running. And I did that. I was looking to apply that final coat thick enough where I had a nice gloss to it, and instead I definitely have some overspray with the gloss. The good thing is it's on our final coat. Once this is all cured, I can go back to the run areas, and there's only a handful, and sand that down with 1,000 grit sandpaper, and then polish the bumper as a whole, and hopefully I'll get that nice glassy gloss. This was a lot of work between the preparation of the bumper, the sanding, and then applying all the coats and waiting in between the coats and trying not to apply too much, but having a nice even coat and finish on it. I have to say I find it very challenging and rewarding in a good way. I think it turned out well. Yes, I have some issues like the run of the clear coat, but that's fixable. I feel confident that I can fix that, and we can bring out a nice even shine with the clear coat. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on our newest project car, this 2003 Lexus IS300 Sport Cross, please consider subscribing, turning on notifications, and sharing this video. Thank you for joining, and until next time.